Hello guys, I'm DeathDread88 and we're back here with another episode of Let's Play OpenTTD. In the last episode we started to run a couple passenger trains to a couple of these cities out here, and we also added this big line through here, so this will help us cut down traffic that goes through here that this is not a major thoroughfare for. So if we go ahead and unpause this, we should see the train starting to move around. And one guy's leaving here with steel, so that's good. The other thing we always want to keep check on is to make sure none of our industries are not going to exist any longer, because that can occasionally happen, and that is not good. Alright, so what do you take? You do accept passengers, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to run a passenger train between, what is that, Bruntwood. And our main one up here at Funtminster. That's an awesome name. So let's do that now. And now I'm just looking for ways to essentially increase the efficiency of our railroad. So instead of building more railroads, we're going to start to essentially add more railroads, or add more trains to our railroad. And this will just help us out with increasing the efficiency of our lines and all that. And that just extremely seems to help out with everything. Alright, so we got a little turnaround station there. About at the other ones. Don't got one there, and don't got one there. So we will start working on that. So we will just equalize like that much. And this will just help us. It's going to be essential for this train because at some point it's going to run into one of these stations and have to turn around. So instead of running, let's say for here, having to run all the way down this line and then all the way back, it can just turn around at the station. That's the other reason that I always like to include the little depots here, or the little turnaround stations, because that just helps out with getting trains to where they need to go. Alright, we'll run you into there. And yeah, let's actually redo that. And there's other ways to go about this too, of course, but I only do this so that we can turn stuff around wherever we need to turn it around at. Can't put one there because there's a station, so we'll get rid of that track and then add a couple pieces of track in. There we go. We'll accept and release, and accept and release. And that'll actually help us also increase our maintenance a little bit, because then we'll need fewer tracks essentially. Alright, so we can get rid of, not that one. That was not the one I was trying to get rid of. Yeah, there is a turnaround station there. Those are sort of close to each other, but it'll work out for now. Alright, so we still got money coming in. We just added a train on here. And where's that guy at right now? Why did you decide to do that? We should probably change how that station works. We'll make this a junction, okay. Because this seems to be busy. Yeah, we already got 4 trains coming in on that block, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to add that as a junction. That train's not that old. And it's trying to figure a way to get over there right now, which is not good. So that'll be the other thing we'll do. So we'll start removing signals. There we go. And then we can come through here and bulldoze this. And now that. Our train's in the way. There we go. Now what we should be able to do, and this will just help us increase, yet again, that maintenance cost. And you can do these intersections however you want, as long as you can get the trains from point A to point B. This is just an efficient one that I managed to find to get to work. So don't always use these. Come up with your own ideas, because that'll help you sort of figure out how the trains work. The easiest way for me to figure anything out usually is with experimentation. So I do advise you guys to try and mess around with trains before you actually try and even use them a lot. So I would try and set up like what we did initially, where we set this line up, just setting it up going one way, and then maybe add like an intersection for another train here, and just try and get those to work without completely running trains into each other. And trust me, you will run trains into each other initially. I did that probably 30 or 40 times before I managed to figure out how to get signals to work. Alright, so we got trains going in here. They're loading up. They should unload. One should go that way, and then one should go up here. And did I connect a city down here? I did not. Alright. Well, we got 4 million euros. So, well, 4,450,000 and some odd hundred, because it keeps changing all the time. So we got a lot of money. And as you can see, we made $582,000 last year, and that was with about almost $500,000 in construction costs. So if we just let this go, we'd roughly be making about $500,000 a year. That doesn't include inflation or anything. Alright, so what else can we do? Oh, we got a train station running in there too. I didn't realize that. That's cool. Perhaps we should run like a train line through here and try and connect these farms up to those factories. Or we could even take these farms, and instead of trying to run more stuff down this line, we could run them this way to some factory out this way. And that factory would be... not seeing a factory right now. The other thing we could eventually do is oil. But I've never had any luck with oil, because as soon as you start transporting it, it takes about 10 to 15 years before it's just going to be like, oh, I'm done. And then you're screwed, because then you don't have anywhere to take oil to. And you'll have tons of trains sitting at these stations like, oh, why can't I take oil here? Because there's no oil refinery. Or the trains will be waiting at the station waiting for oil, and there won't be any way to get oil. So... this factory, well, let's do this one, so then I can show you how these four-way signals work. That's looking to be our best bet, actually. There we go. Alright, so do 8, 8, and 8. We'll do 8, 8, and then bring this in 1. And then we'll do 8 and bring this in 1. How do these trains normally work? So it wants us to bring it around this side and connect it up here. We can probably do that. And usually what I do, instead of letting the cities themselves build across the train tracks, I do it for them, because otherwise they can completely mess up your network, and that's no good, because then you can't transport stuff. When you can't transport stuff, you have no money, and having no money is bad. Go. And we'll just barely miss that farm. That's a good thing. Now what we can do here, since we have money, we'll plow that. And that costs us, as you saw, about $55,000. Or euros, actually. But, oh well. And, oh, okay, we didn't have to do that, because I was going to connect it up here. And the other thing to keep in mind too is it is a little bit more efficient to have these four-way junctions instead of have all these junctions in these little random spots along here, because then you don't have a train running through here and have a train get stuck in here or something like that. It also does save space, and saving space is always good. Because as you see, we have a quite complex train network built up now compared to what we had initially, where we just had one line running from here to here. And I'm sure this will get a lot more complex than it already is. We could have also run it off here, but I don't always like going. This is essentially our main line, the 4 here, and I'm trying to connect it up somehow to one of these. So then we can sort of keep everything on the main line instead of having to run from a main line to a secondary line to a secondary line. Then we can add into here. And that is what a 4-way junction looks like. You just complete these 3 pieces here. The across and then the 2 turns, and that's for each one of these. And then we'll add in some signals. So our train should be coming in here and exiting here. Well, entering this line here and exiting this line here. Alright, so let's do that. Let's do that. There we go. Now as you see, we lost $55,000, but we've already made money this year, so we're not doing bad at all financially. We actually got a lot of stuff going pretty well for us. And I'm screwing around with a new signal system that I found. And this essentially, as long as there's a clear path on one of these for these signals to work, the train will come in here and it'll determine if there's a clear path here or here. And it'll go with the one of least resistance, so it'd be the straight one first, and run through here, and then it only has the chance to go through there. But you can make them various other ways too. You can do entry stations like the exit here, and it's not as efficient, but it does work for you. And usually when you have like bigger stations, like when you see the metro stations and stuff out in like Britain and out in Europe somewhere, usually they try and have a setup sort of like this as entry and exit, because they don't have, if you look at Europe versus like the USA or Russia as far as land space goes, we have a lot more space for land than they do. So that's why we have these massive railroads that run everywhere. Versus like in Europe, they have railroads, but they don't run everywhere, and they're not as predominant as they are in the US. Alright, so now we're going to try and connect these 2 farms up. So that looks like the best route to go is right there. And we're just sort of going to run one line through here. And this is going to be an expensive one, but I don't care too much. Now we have more stuff to blow up. Oh, yeah, and then see, sometimes you'll do that, where you'll accidentally click on the mouse pad on a laptop and break stuff and just spend tons of money doing it. And if we equalize, and we do a 2x all the way through here, would that work the best? Or if we went over to, it's not going to matter too much. So we're going to do that. We're going to run through there. And this can also be considered a main line, because this in essence, all it does is connect. It's not an endpoint for anything. It's essentially just a spacer between here and here, so we can grab all these resources in here. That's the only reason that we're putting this in here. So it can be considered a main line for what it's doing. It'd almost be better to just shoot it straight through here. Actually, yeah, let's do that. We got the money. Why not? Two. Yep. If we run all the way. Oh, we'll run to that mine there. So if we go 1 over, and now we run it. These will get in the way. We'll get rid of all that stuff. We'll run into that. There we go. So now we could pretty much destroy that stuff. And then run through here. that up, blow that up, blow that up, and continue to rebuild. There we go. And we can't run it back more because it ran into the bridge signals. Alright. So there we go. Now we can start working on getting this all connected up to our main line here with a couple little intersections. And I just prefer to do the two because if I ever utilize a piece of track like this here, then I have essentially the two here already instead of having to run all the way back down here and run two all the way through. Because there are places where you can choose to put in only one, and I don't see that as beneficial because then like when I'm adding this stuff in here, I have to run back through and add everything in, and that does not. That just can get to be a pain sometimes. And there's that. And here's this. Let's actually get rid of that little bit of track right there. Not that one. There we go. Run it pretty much up to there. We'll run this back. That should give us the signal coverage we're looking for. And some of these episodes may run slow, sort of like this one is, because all we're really doing is adding in more line and connecting more stuff up. And this one's a little bit more involved than they usually are. So sorry about that, guys, in advance. Can only do that there. Now with this here, with the bridge, essentially from this little signal block here to this, only one train can be on here at a time. So it's not as efficient. I should have moved this back probably a couple more. So then, like, let's say we have a train going this way, shooting this way. He'll block off the track if the train's trying to go straight here. So then this train will stop here, and that'll back trains up on this little peninsula here, and then back them up even further. Not the most efficient of things to do, but until we start noticing a major problem, I don't think it's an issue we really have to resolve. As you see right now, we got trains even coming down the track. So there we go. And we will start to connect these up. And the other thing to keep in mind too when you start connecting these, you want plenty of room between the station and a main line, because then if you have multiple trains coming in the station and it getting backed up, if you back it up enough, I've had this happen in other maps, you'll build up tons of trains here and eventually back up the main line like here, and then that could back it up all the way back to a station. And I have done that before, and that is not good. So let's see where these guys line up. Are they right across? No, they're about one off. So then we'll shoot across. And this is another place where I'd use the little 4 section there. Instead of having a 3-way intersection, it's a 4-way intersection. Then you just add in all the little lines here that'll allow the train to go pretty much any direction it wants to go. And of course we'll have to fix the signals, but I don't think there's any trains really using this line because there's no one that has to hop from up here to down here that doesn't use this a little bit more efficiently, or this one. And the trains will sort of pre-select where they want to go. So it's not like I'm too worried about it. And then we'll throw you in there. And this station here is a little close to the main line here for my liking, but that's okay. We should be able to fit in 2 trains, and it's not like this is a major station. So I'm not too worried about it. And this one here is perfectly fine for what it's doing, so we go right there. Alright, so we got those 2 running right there. Do I have another? Where am I going to want to put a depot? Do I want to put a depot in somewhere? Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put a depot in closer to here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 depots. So that's not too bad. Alright, we still made a lot of money last year. Well, we a little bit above broke even. That's fine. So we got these 2 connected. We'll just throw it right here. And a rule of thumb I always try and do from an intersection, if you have a little depot here, I always try and do them about 2 or 3 away from another main line if you have an intersection. So like this would be 1, 2, and then a train can enter. Alright, so there's that. There we go. And one of these episodes we'll get into planes, but for now I'm going to stick with trains because there's a lot of stuff to learn with trains, and it's also just sort of watching how trains get put in. Planes are literally just click one station, click the other station, go. As to where, like with the trains, you sort of have to tell them exactly what to do at the stations, and then you can let them go. And then on the bigger networks, you have to find the most efficient way. Or like if you're trying to schedule people to go certain ways, you'll have to add in these little waypoints at some point. So then like right here, it'd be a waypoint. So then you can essentially tell a train to go, like if we're trying to get this guy up here, by default, he'll go this way. But like let's say we put a waypoint over here because for some reason this section of track is getting really busy. We can tell him to go from here, shoot up here, and then shoot back around. And that could also do with scheduling stuff too. And now we can set up 2 trains. And what are you guys good at? You'll be livestock, you'll be grain. So then we'll have you go to whatever the name of that station is, and then go over to here. And you're going to fully load, and then you should be good to go. And the next train will be this one. Sell you. And then we'll get... Now this is the part where you have to set it to grain, because otherwise by default I think it goes to coal. And then, because otherwise it'll just sit at the station and be like, ooh, what do I have to transport? And it won't transport anything. Alright, so there we go. We'll make 2 of each train just in case. Because you'll have a little bit more in grain, and grain does. What is train 28? I think you are the duplicate of that guy. So, have this guy, and we'll now launch another train. Alright, so that is the end of this episode. We really only added on these little sections here. I showed you how to do little 4-way intersections at these 2 places, and then we connected up a factory. Not a lot, but we're getting there. As always, guys, leave comments below as to how you think I can improve the videos. Please like the video if you do like it, and please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.